For as long as time, there has been the unexplained, the strange, the scary, the paranormal. And for as long as time, there have been those of us uniquely in tune with the spirits and strangeness that surround us. The paranormal does not belong to any one path or religion, because it has always just been. Ghosts, spirits, entities, demons, and things that go bump in the night, the stuff of nightmares and of stories. We always fear what we don't understand, but knowledge is power. So join me for a pagan's paranormal perspective. Come learn about spirits and demons and entities and more. Come explore the darker side of the paranormal. Arm yourself with knowledge. Understand that in darkness there is light, and in light there is darkness. One would not exist without the other. My goal is to make you think deeper. Question what you think you know, and hopefully leave with an open mind. So join me on P3, Pagan's Paranormal Perspective, if you dare. Welcome and good evening. This is Onyx Moon, your host, and you are listening to P3, Pagan Paranormal Perspective. If I could remember the name of my show, we'd be doing great. Joining me tonight is my special guest host that will be joining me once a month. So this is our monthly little show. It's Lady Spice, and we are going to be talking about Ghost Hunting 101 Pagan Style. And tonight I think we are covering grounding, shielding, protection, and then other things that you may need to do if you're planning on trying to start investigating. So does that sound about right today, Lady Spice?
Yes, ma'am, it does. The first thing that people really need to take into account is we need to protect ourselves. Not just before we go on a hunt, but even every day, because you never know what's going to attach itself to you while you go about your daily business.
Right.
The simplest way to do that, and I teach this to my students all the time, is personal shielding. This is strengthening your own auric field to act as your personal bubble. Easiest way to do that, and for those of you who are good at visualization, you shouldn't have too much of a problem with this. Close your eyes, take a great big deep breath, and start imagining silver and gold dust motes surrounding you until they're thick. And at the same time, you're chanting silver and gold armor, surround me. What this does is it actually brings celestial energy into your auric field, which strengthens your personal space. It stops things from getting in, it stops them from attaching, and it can even stop negative people that you encounter that are living from getting inside your personal space to rattle you.
Absolutely, because I know that with those kind of things, even we can absorb other people's bad energies and negativity, especially if you're a sensitive or an empath. Shielding is one of the things that should be foremost in anybody's education when they start a pagan path. And for some reason, I don't see enough emphasis being put on that kind of thing. And it's very frustrating to those of us who have been knocking it around for a few years, shall we say, to see the people coming into this that don't have a clue about shielding, let alone grounding.
And people wonder why they run into so many problems. I've had so many clients and so many people come up to me and they're rattled, and I mean they're not functioning at all. And it's something they've either walked into or they haven't decluttered their energy for a while, so it's been building kind of like grime on a window.
Absolutely.
You have to, this is basic regular maintenance, and it's as simple as walking barefoot in the lawn, in sand, sticking your fingers into soil in a plant. That'll give you your earthing. That connects your auric field back to the universal energy grid, the ley lines, which are actually underneath the earth. They're the energy points, what do they call it? Reverend, do you remember? The ley lines, it's the energy, it's the auric field. The chakras, thank you. Planetary chakras.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, mental note here. I'm kind of not all entirely with it this evening. Painkillers for an abscessed tooth makes for a gappy brain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe me, I'm feeling your pain today too. No worries. But yeah, but that thing, and also, I mean, if you've noticed it, and I know you have, people that are more sensitive, people that are empathetic, um, people are going to walk up to you and tell you their freaking life story with no warning. And sometimes you're walking around, la di da da da, you're going through the grocery store, and the old lady stops you in the aisle and tells you that her husband just died and her kids are trying to, take everything, and you have no idea why she's talking to you, but you're absorbing that energy because it's like you have this big target on you that says, I can help you. Um, and that's well and good because that's what we do. But you've got to have shields up and be prepared because you can listen and still guard yourself from the emotion if you know what you're doing, if you do this maintenance stuff, if you do these grounding and protection techniques as a daily part of your routine.
And I mean, I've gone knowing, I've been doing this for 35, 40 years. I go in shielded everywhere. I had gone into a friend's place, and another friend of his had come over, and this young lady, you could see she was troubled. And I guess I hit just the right, tap on her. She broke down into tears, and I mean, she was sobbing in my arms inside of 5 minutes, and I had just met this girl.
Right.
And I was even crying because it was so overwhelming, even though it wasn't mine. And I mean, I'm prepared for this. The people that aren't, it's no wonder I've seen a few that just become absolute mental basket cases.
Absolutely. I mean, occasionally I get caught off guard. Okay, I do my daytime job, what I do, and I've gone back to this. I got out of medical because it was extremely hard for my psyche to stay that blocked all the time. I went back to doing hair. So I do hair and nails. Well, all hairdressers are bartenders without the alcohol. Um, because you're going to get everybody's life story while they're sitting in your chair. And like I said, most of the time I'm prepared, but sometimes you think you're going along and everything's cool, and you realize that you must not have put you haven't cleared your gunk. You haven't washed your windows, and this person sitting in your chair, getting ready to dissolve, like you said, into tears, all of a sudden you're wiped out. You're de-energized. You feel like, you want to crawl in bed and take a nap. It's because they've sucked you dry and they don't even know it, and you weren't ready for it.
This is where above the grounding and shielding, which is always should be the first go-to, this is why I like carrying things like green aventurine, black tourmaline. It stops that negative interaction with your own auric field if they're kept cleansed and charged and you carry them with you.
Right.
Another one that's really good for that is black or green Lemurian jade.
Wow. Now that's one I haven't heard of. That's one I haven't.
It's a beautiful, beautiful stone. I'll send you some photos.
Okay, cool.
I discovered it at the local crystal shop because she knew what I was looking for and what I was, the qualities I had in mind, and they just happened to have some of that in. They had some angelite, sodalite, which are all really good for cleansing and helping to provide a barrier. But the ones that I do recommend everyone carry with them is green aventurine and black tourmaline.
Yeah, those are good. Now, I'm going to interject one of my favorite stones for this kind of thing. To keep with your other stones is citrine.
Yes.
Citrine. Because citrine cannot... Yeah. But citrine and selenite is a good angelic celestial stone too. But I love the citrine because you don't have to cleanse it, but it will cleanse your other stones. So if you keep a true piece of citrine or a citrine sphere or something with the other stones that you're carrying, it kind of helps to rejuvenate them while they're working. Again, that's...
I have it's a citrine quartz combination.
Right.
Which I carry with selenite inside my pouch.
Yeah.
So it charges them all.
And it does. Now, that's not to say you still don't need to take your other stones out and cleanse them on a regular basis. Full moon is the best time for that, honestly. I don't.
Tonight.
Yes, it is. So take all your rocks out of your little bowl and get them outside under some moonlight. You know, because I'm not Wiccan, there are a lot of things like that moon phases and yada yada and correspondences that I don't necessarily follow. I mean, I will if I can, if it's convenient, but a lot of that stuff I don't. But when it comes to cleansing stones, yes, I do. Full moon energy, absolutely. So that's one of the few times you're going to see me and the Wiccan side of things actually agree on something. Sorry, but go ahead.
From the Druid, and that is one thing that we do follow is the lunar phase, and there are some things that we do religiously, and that includes charging our stones, full and new moon.
Yep. Yeah, I do like the new moon for, banishing that no longer serves you. I think that's a wonderful time to get rid of stuff. That's
After is really good for growth.
Yes, because and if you get rid of it, you've got more room to grow. And I think it's partially good to me. It's a kind of a mental psychic thing, but partially I think it's a good idea because if you follow the lunar calendar for this kind of stuff, it puts you in a routine. And once you get on a routine, you're going to find things fall into place better. It's like with grounding and shielding, that should be your morning routine. When your feet hit that floor, when you're getting out of bed, take 30 seconds. If that's all you can do, because the dog wants to go out or the cat's screaming at you or heaven forbid kids, luckily, mine are grown. But take that 30 seconds, and when your feet hit that floor, visualize yourself growing roots into the earth, through the floor, and get yourself grounded before you even get out of bed.
And that with your morning stretch, because everybody does a morning stretch, so stretch your aura along with your body.
Yes, and get into that routine because, it really, that's all it takes. Once you've practiced, your shield, honestly, when I remember, and here I am telling you to do it, and sometimes I'm like, oh, whatever, rolling out of bed. But if you get into that habit, your grounding and your protection shield, it will snap into place like instantaneous. It will be so automatic, and then you will be ready to face whatever is going to hit you the second you walk out of your bedroom.
I get up in the morning. The first thing I do after I hit the bathroom and pay, rent on last night's water, is I have a good stretch in the morning and a glass of water because that actually wakes your body and your metabolic rate up.
Water.
Everything functions better, including your digestive system. And
yep.
This is before you even think about putting anything else down your stomach.
Yep. Water is the best, and it is proven that it is really good for your body the first thing in the morning because, yeah, it needs a jump start. I know most of us tend to rely on the caffeine for the jump start, but the water on a cellular... I know.
Time for a glass of water.
Yep. And on a cellular level, it really can begin to make a difference. You'll notice that. It's not... I don't want to say it's rocket science, but,
Tears off my face.
Cool. Well, I need about 20 off mine right now. I'm feeling old. I don't know. This week, this full moon, we were talking about this before we came on air. This full moon is really doing a number on people that are sensitive. So I'm thinking that our discussion on grounding and shielding is probably a very appropriate for what's going on right now. I know Lady Spice, you sent me a link that what planets, there's 3 of them that are going to be in line.
Earth and the sun are all aligned.
Yep. Like tomorrow morning or something?
We have Mercury retrograde. Jupiter, Saturn, I believe, are both retrograde as well as 1 or 2 others. And if Chiron isn't, it's about to be.
And it's just crazy. So there's a lot of planetary things that will affect what's going on mentally. And like I said, especially if you're a sensitive or an empath or something like that. And that's what we're really stressing, learn to ground. There's a lot of grounding techniques. There's different ways to ground.
Hug a tree.
Hug a tree is great. Like you said, digging in.
Lean against one.
Yep. Or anything else that is grounded, the buildings, the floors, the walls, pipes are grounded. You know, if you can't get to anything else, animals, absolutely. Now, see, I wouldn't have thought of that, but yeah. My animals ground me a lot. Actually, I've got one cat that knows when I'm really not myself. And she is not, she's very affectionate, but she's only affectionate when it suits her. I mean, she's not mean at any other time.
That's why.
Yeah, she is. That one really is. Out of the 4 or 5 cats I have, that one really is. But she knows when I'm like erratic and all that. She'll come like crawl in my lap, and I'm like, what? um, but yeah. So your animals, that's a really good technique for grounding.
I mean, you could be unhappy with a puppy in their lap.
Exactly.
I mean, watch what a therapy dog does in an old folks' home.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Perfect example right there. Above that, I find, especially if I'm going out on a hunt, especially if I know I'm looking for the dark and nasties, I will wear something called a ward.
Right.
It can be anything from a medallion that is connected to a deity to, even the Christian St. Michael's medallion.
Right. Oh, yeah. St. Michael, I use a lot for this kind of stuff because, yes, I do.
St. Michael, St. Christopher, believe it or not, St. Michael's the patron saint of demon slayers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is. And that's why I frequently use the...
For you.
I frequently use the St. Michael.
Wards, medallions, protective medals, pretty much of any sort. Mm-hmm. Depending on what you're going to encounter, most will work. Although some things don't recognize different pantheons.
Right. I use an herb mix.
Your face is covered.
I do an herb mix. I have what I call them a packet. I make them. They end up looking like little tiny mojo bags, but they have an herb mix that is for removing negativity, keeping negativity from attaching. It's a special mix that I've come up with that I absolutely use for any kind of ghost hunting, and anybody that is going to be on my team gets one of these at the beginning, and then they dump it at the end.
Interesting. I'll have to get the lowdown on that from you.
Yeah, it's a great mix for that, and a lot of it works with entities and that kind of thing too. And that's why I absolutely love it to do for that, because of the way it works. But like I said, I put it in a little mojo bag, or I pen it, so they pen it on their clothing. It's going to help prevent things getting close enough to you to scratch you or push you or physically harm you because of the stuff that it has in it. However, if you're investigating, you are still going to get EVPs. You're still going to be able to feel things. It's not like Teflon, okay?
It's not a block.
It's not a block. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. It's absolutely. Absolutely. That's the certainly for that. I don't know why that went back on. Anyway, okay. But yeah, it's a filter, and it protects you, and I think it protects your team, because I know that I've said this. One of the things that makes me the most crazy watching some of these TV shows on paranormal investigating is when they're, oh, this one scratched, I got pushed, I got shoved. Why? Why do you want to put yourself in that position? Please, folks, if you're thinking about doing ghost hunting, look deeper and realize that, do you really have to prove what it is? Isn't what you're doing, if you're doing it for fortune and fame, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And
if you're doing it for a thrill because you like to be scared, step back now.
Right. Because, be careful what you ask for. I'm telling you what, you will darn sure get it. And it's not always fun. Not the way you want it. And then once they get it, they've got you. And that causes a whole lot more problems that we're going to talk about in just a minute. But we are going to hit our first commercial break. So stick around. We've got a lot more to talk about, and I'll see you on the flip side in just a second. Are you ready to have some fun? Then come and check out Raven's Shadow Crafts, home of the Pop It with a Pocket. These unique handmade poppets come ready to go, pre-stuffed with herbs and in colors designed for your intent. They also have a pocket on the back to add any herb, stone, or personal item you want to make this poppet complete. Just charge and it's ready to go. Other handmade items are gree bags, goddess symbols, mini skull magnets, and more. So check them out on Facebook at Raven's Shadow Crafts. Park your broom and stay a spell. That's www.facebook.com/Ravens Shadow Crafts. We'll see you there. Looking for authentic pagan wares? Then check out Onyx Moon Emporium, where they offer an eclectic mix of metaphysical and spiritual related items, handcrafted using old recipes and traditions, where everything is created in small batches by authentic and experienced practitioners. Their promise to customers is authenticity. From witchy items, conjure goods, setting of lights, to a wide selection of magical and conditioned oils. Also handcrafted wooden grimoires and journals, made to order magical candles in all shapes, sizes, and intents. From angel kits to gree, herbs and curios, from naughty to nice and everything in between. Many items are custom made, so they are uniquely yours. Special orders welcome, and if you have an idea for something you're not finding, they're happy to work with you. Need an oil that's not listed? A spell you can't find? Looking for that hard-to-find herb or curio? They probably have it, or they can make it. Visit them at onyxmoonemporium.com or find them on Facebook. Onyx Moon Emporium. From angels to Zen, find everything for your magical life.
Since 2014, the Pagan Business Network has been building resources by bringing together pagan-owned and pagan-friendly businesses. With multiple resources available, it doesn't matter if you're an artisan, musician, vendor, author, publishing company, blogger, podcaster, event planner, or any other organization. We have the resources here to help you succeed. Becoming a member is easy and affordable, even for the smallest of budgets. With your membership, you will get Business Spotlight, which is an article written in an interview style, complete with details and photos. Social media sharing through the Pagan Business Network, a blog roll, a membership card for discounts at participating businesses. You'll also get discounts on tickets to all Pagan Business Network events, and so much more. You can check us out at paganbusinessnetwork.com for more information.
All right, everybody, thank you for sticking around, and welcome back to P3, A Pagan's Paranormal Perspective, where tonight we're talking about grounding and shielding and protection and a few other things that we're going to be talking about too. So, we ended up talking about the fact that people seem to want to get scratched and pushed and shoved, and how utterly ridiculous that is. And for anybody that is actually looking to do paranormal investigation, if that's what you're in it for, then you're in the wrong field, because that's not what it's about. True paranormal investigating should be, who cares about proof? If you have to prove it to somebody, it's not worth your time. The only person that needs proof is you, so you know what to do to help the person that's being affected by this. That's what it's about. It's about truth, not proof. It makes me so crazy. Between that and the one, it's got to be on film, and they've got to have all these big crews running around. And if you think the ghosts or the spirits or the entities don't know that you're there doing that, then you're kind of cuckoo. About the only time that that's not going to be an issue is if it's what I know you have a different word for it, but I call it a residual, like a residual haunting, the one that's kind of like a tape recorder playing over and over again. Okay, that's the one. See, back in my day, the who?
It's stone tape theory.
Stone tape theory, yes. Back in my day,
We'll actually find it being taught as.
okay. And back in my day when I was learning,
residual, but there's a difference between that and a residual haunt. A residual haunt is actually the energy that the person has left behind that they've shed during their lifetime. It's not actually their soul's spirit. It's what the parts of them that they've shed over that lifetime. And it's the residue of the person that actually becomes and forms a mini-me. It acts like a ghost. You'd think it was a ghost, but it's not actually their spirit. It's just, it was part of them.
Okay. Now see,
That makes sense.
yeah, well, it does. I mean, and they're going to continually redefine how they talk about things. I mean, I remember back in the day when they were talking about poltergeist, it was supposed to be this, that, or the other thing. And that whole scenario, or what they call it and how they describe it now, has completely changed, because yes, poltergeist means noisy ghost, but not, when poltergeist, like the movie, first came out, that wasn't clear. I mean, they had a whole different kind of way they were coming at it. They did completely, but that's what people knew, because they weren't doing investigations like they are now, or at least it wasn't as prevalent. I'm sure there were people always doing it. There's always been those of us, hunting down ghosts and doing this, but it was a little bit different. But anyway,
The one tidbit of true Hollywood horror that was actually in that movie, when they were doing the mud pool scene,
right?
and the bodies were popping up, those were actual real bodies that they had brought in.
What the heck?
No kidding.
Oh,
Hollywood horror tidbit for you. I knew a couple of people that worked in the film industry.
oh my.
Just like one of the Disneyland rides, I think it was Pirates of the Caribbean, one of their skeletons was actually a real skeleton of a murder victim.
In Hollywood or Florida?
I believe it was the one in Anaheim.
Oh, okay.
Disney was out in Disneyland.
Disneyland, okay. 'Cause see, I live near Disney World, and I'm like, I love Pirates of the Caribbean. You're killing me. I'd be going in there going like, now, okay, which one looks real? I'd be going through that like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Anyway, um,
Oh,
yeah, no, that's
yeah,
crazy.
isn't that strange?
That is very strange indeed. Ooh.
And I mean, when people do things like that, you're messing with the housing that somebody's spirit had. It could very easily come back to haunt you.
Oh yeah. And that's part of what we were talking about too. The ones going in there trying to get scratched or pushed or shoved or whatever. What you don't might not realize is,
It's
if you
disrespectful.
yes, it's absolutely disrespectful. But if they if you get what you're looking for, then they've got you. And you may end up taking something home with you that puts your family at risk, or you don't even know it, because sometimes these things that attach, they're clever. They're sneaky. They're sly. They're going to be quiet for a while, and they're going to learn, and they're going to watch, and then they will start their stuff.
Protect everybody around you but you.
Yeah, because you're its host, and it's feeding off of your energy, but it's going to be mucking with everybody else's.
And there are the ones that muck with your brain without you even realizing it, to create even more trouble and havoc and chaos, to isolate you so you are weakened and vulnerable.
Yeah. I mean, there's one show, and I know I can't mention names, but there's one show that had like a couple guys on it, and he's one of the most annoying ones, okay? You probably know which one it is.
Three guys
Right, yeah.
have a camera crew.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
yeah, no, I have. Oh,
Okay, but one of that,
me no likey.
yeah, but that one guy, I mean, I didn't like the main guy, but I kind of liked the other ones. But one of them actually had a lot of problems, because ended up with an attachment that really wrecked his world. I mean, I think it tore his life apart. I think his wife left him, and I mean, it was bad.
His wife,
Yeah,
he lost. Yeah, his house burnt to the ground.
yeah,
He's still having problems, and it's
and that,
got a good hold of him.
yeah, and that was the one I think came from when he went to the Mackey place.
No, actually,
Was it before that?
That started before Bobby Mackey's world.
Really? I couldn't remember. Like I said, I don't watch it all the time because, anyway, they annoy me. But yeah, so pay attention. You've got to. And that goes into something else we were going to talk about, Lady Spice. We were talking about not taunting them.
How to approach them.
Yes, without taunting them and acting like an idiot. So let's talk about that for a little while.
If you're going to ask them to, say, turn on your flashlight, and they do it, don't freak out. I mean, come on. How would you like it if somebody asked you to do something very politely, you do it for them, and then they freak?
Yeah.
Would you want to do anything else for them? I know I wouldn't.
No.
Or if, actually, that's a lie. I would really, really, hey, that's me.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's the whole thing. It's not frequent and depend. It always every situation is different. But if you go at it from a respect standpoint from the beginning, if it's not something that is inherently evil, you're going to get a lot more cooperation with getting the proof. Not that you need it, but at least opening a line of communication. Somehow. Without taunting, because taunting, all it's going to do, it's like, okay, for me, for example, you can ask me to do anything, and I will bend over backwards and do everything I can to help you. You come and tell me to do something, forget about it. And I can't imagine that a lot of ghosts are any differently. It would be like, who do you think you are to come up in my crib and start ordering me around like I'm some lackey? And they're going to get on the defensive and get angry from the get-go. But if you are like, hey, we're here because we're hearing some stories. Are you here? Do you want to communicate? Are you upset about something? Yeah, we're here to help you. Or, figure out, if you need some help. If you don't, that's fine. But we kind of got to know why you're, moving chairs on this lady and scaring her. A lot of times stuff like that goes a long way. Now, you're going to get the people that are like, okay, Lady Spice is a demonologist, but you're going to get the kind of demonologists that think they are all that in a bag of chips that'll be like, oh, the demon, and be gone, you demon, and blah, blah. And start off like that and really tick somebody off. So if it is a demon, oh, well, now you're in big trouble, because most of the people that are doing somewhat paranormal investigating don't have a clue what they would actually have to do if they actually came up against a big bad. So, grounding.
Great lead. One of the things that I make sure of, is, especially when I go into a place, one, I don't want to know anything about it. My driver takes me to the address, I get out, I put my feet on the ground. Sometimes I have spooks that'll show up before I even know where I'm going, and they're arriving from this address. When I go through, there is no one that lives in the house there. Their personal effects, I don't care. As long as I can make a trail through the house, it really doesn't matter to me what it looks like. Because I don't actually read the house. I read the energy that's in it. And I'm looking for not so much the energy that, sort of energy that photos or that sort of thing, or haunted items, or, attached objects will give off. But I'm looking for a specific movement in the energy. It's almost like and I hate to say this, for me it feels like I'm using sonics.
Right.
Almost like echolocation.
Right.
When I send out, I'll cast a wave, and what comes back is an imprint of whatever energy is in the house or on the lamp. And I have to go in clean, I have to go in sterile, and the reason I don't want to know anything, my team does, but I want to know if what I'm picking up is real.
Right.
Because they can mask. But I'll pick up things that the owners won't tell my team.
Right. Yeah, and that's a big part too, is how to start deciding whether it's going to be something you're going to investigate, what to look for in the people that are asking you for help, how to spot, for lack of a better word, the wackadoodles.
Well, I like to think of it as trust but verify.
Right.
Because if more than one person in the house is having the same experience, chances are there's something there.
Right.
If it's just one person, okay, is there medication involved? Has there been any kind of head injury? Has there, look for signs of mental illness? There's a host of things to cross off.
Right.
And you don't tell these people you think they're nuts, because sometimes what comes out sounds pretty crazy.
Right.
Hollywood doesn't do justice to some of this. I mean, I have seen and the results of attacks that there is no earthly way those kinds of gouges can be left in flesh and they don't heal.
Right. Because there are those that are genuinely big bads. I'll tell you, the one thing that will make me kind of skip over some of that, having to worry about it, is if there's children involved. If there's a child involved, you know, that kind of,
Hands down my priority.
yeah, that makes it my priority. And I'm not going to look so deep until after I get there. I want to, if there's a child involved, I want to see the child. I don't necessarily have to talk to the child because I will read their energy. You know what I mean? And find out what's going on. And then, what I've said, I don't know if I did mention it. What I like to do is when it's somebody, I don't care if they've told me. See, I don't quite go in quite as sterile as you because I just don't have time. But with a good team, that would be great.
I don't always, but I try to.
I try to. But what I like to do is I like to meet them off grounds first in a neutral place, and they can talk to me.
Yes.
But when I go to their house, I say, I'm coming by myself with nothing, but the only thing I'm going to have is a recorder in my purse, just in case there's some EVP stuff. But I'm not even going to take it out. I'm going to turn it on before I walk in the door and just leave it in my purse. But basically, I have them invite me over for dinner. And with the rules, we discuss nothing about anything that's going on in the house. I am just a friend over for dinner. And then, yes, you will show me the house because normally if you invite a guest over, you give them the tour. But we talk about nothing. We talk about nothing paranormal. You can say, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. They can, however, tell me at that point, then I ask, have you done any renovations? What have you changed? This looks really cool. Did you do this? When did you last paint? I'm going to ask those kind of practical things there because sometimes that gives you a clue too. And it'll make some light bulbs go off in my head if they say, oh yeah, well we had to tear out all this. I'm like, okay. So I get my stuff without actually having to say, oh, well, where did you have this? What now? So at that point, then I will piece things together and figure out if it's something that that they can handle or something that the team needs to come in and look a little deeper, because if the hair is standing up on the back of my neck the minute I walk in the door, because they know I'm there and I know they're there, well, yeah, I'm probably going back, with the team to find out what it is. But if it's just, like what gets in my house, the little transient stuff, or if it's so many times, it's a relative, it's somebody checking in, and it may have spooked them, but it's not something that they need to banish. It's not something that needs to go away. That's when I have to educate the living.
Oh, yes, you've got to retrain the living that sometimes these hauntings are benevolent.
Absolutely, and that's a big thing. I much prefer those. I much prefer to educate the living than have to deal with the dead. Because a lot of times the dead really don't need to be dealt with. They can just be talked to. I tell people this a lot. They just want to be acknowledged, especially when it ends up being a benevolent or benign or friendly or family or protective. You get those kind of spirits that come in and come out and check on you. And if you're sensitive or if there's somebody in your house that's sensitive, you may notice something, but it doesn't always mean it's bad. And sometimes it's just, yeah, okay, Uncle Charlie, I know you're here. We're fine. Thanks for checking. And they'll go away. Or if you've got one that you don't know who he is, and it might be a previous owner 4 times removed that died in the house, and you're feeling a little spooked, and sometimes you've just got to, again, acknowledge verbally that they're there. Okay, well, I know you're here, but we need some ground rules because you're scaring me. So, you cannot come into my bedroom, you cannot come into the bathroom. You may stay in the kitchen, you may stay in the living room as long as you're not here to cause me harm. And sometimes that's enough.
My mom moved. Well, I moved into a little tiny cottage in the middle of up here, Muckluck, in the middle of nowhere, and it was an old house, and this one fellow who had built the place had actually died in the house, and I fell in love with his old rocking chair. So I brought it into my room. My girlfriend had come over for after school, and the chair started rocking on its own. I was perfectly fine with it. I could see him. I knew he was there, but she freaked and ran screaming out of my house and never came back.
Oh my heavens.
And I mean, I'm 11, 12. I have no problems. And funny you should say Charlie, because that was his name.
Ah. I knew that was coming from somewhere.
No, I mean, she ran out screaming at the top of her lungs and ran home a half a mile.
Oh my gosh, kind of like that chick on that international.
Yes.
The one that, give me a sign. It throws a rock. She runs screaming. Oh my heavens.
Oh, yeah,
Just kills me.
If you are kind of, if you're going to politely ask them, could you turn the flashlight on or off?
Yeah.
Don't freak when they actually do that. That means they wish to communicate with you.
Yep.
Now, keep in mind, not all of them are going to tell the truth either.
Oh no, because like I said, they're sly, they're tricky, they pay attention. Some are very smart and some are not. I mean, anything that you can meet in life, you're going to meet in death, or in spirit form. Anything, it can be there. They could be dumb as a bag of rocks. And then all you have to basically do is kind of go boo back to them and say, look, we live here now. Here's your pink slip. Move on. And they
Poof, be gone.
Yeah, exactly. Poof, be gone. That's when you're walking through the house with a wooden spoon and a metal pan, and you're clanking it and telling it to go away. Because
that actually works.
I'm not knocking it. I was being very serious, kind of tongue in cheek, but
well, that Tibetan singing bowls, bells,
yep,
of various tones and tenors will do it.
Yep.
It depends on the practitioner.
Yes, it does, and it also sometimes depend on what kind of spook it is too. Because we're not making fun of people that are dealing with real issues. There are some cases, like you said, that there are things that happen. There are attacks that happen that cannot be explained away by something innocuous. Okay, sometimes people do end up in a place where there's a big bad. And it's scary. It scares me. I can't let them know I'm scared, because the minute I show fear, the minute it thinks it's got me.
It's got you.
So you can't do it, and you've got to be mentally prepared. But a lot of people aren't, because they've moved into this apartment and it's an upper good city, blah blah blah. It's only been built for 5 years, and they think that they can't understand what the heck is going on, because this isn't old. Nobody's died. You don't know what that land has been through. And that's one of the big things that I try to stress to people. I don't care if your house is a day old. You don't know what that land has been.
For thousands of years.
Yes. And everything is a graveyard. If you think it's not, you're not thinking clearly. Because think of, regardless as to where you live, Indian wars, cavemen, dinosaurs, I don't care how far back you want to go, pretty much there's not a piece of ground anywhere that something isn't either buried or died on. Some people, some things just naturally go to the, they move on. They go to the light, they go to the dark, they go wherever the heck they go. So they're not there, but it doesn't mean that the land that you're standing on has not been affected. So don't think that just because it's a brand new house and nobody's ever lived there that it can't be haunted. And then again, we talked about that you've brought stuff in from other places that could have a hold attachments. But the big bads are usually, and we had a thing in chat that said we should probably do a show on ley lines one day. So, but you've got ley lines, you've got portals. You've got natural portals, you've got naturally occurring portals, you've got portals that were not naturally occurring, that maybe somebody or other had opened a portal in that spot, 1,000 years ago, because magic has been around for that long. that, it could be an unnatural portal. It could be a rent in the fabric or the veil. And there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of thinness and anyway, but that's probably a whole nother show. But at the same time,
There's been so many disasters over the years where there have been, deaths, mass deaths.
massive loss of life. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly, and those leave their imprint and their residue behind. Places like Point Ellis House here on Vancouver Island is like that. Places like Gettysburg. There is actually a ghost train tunnel. I believe it's in Vermont. It's on a completely disused line. There is no track anymore, but people still see and hear the lights of the train coming through the tunnel right before it crashes. And that happened almost 120 years ago.
Yeah. And that stuff does leave that kind of energy. And I talked about that a little bit with my last week when I did the ghost animals. And it's funny because Gettysburg, they'll see horses still, and people think it's a real, whatever. And, anyway. In chat says, has either of us had to deal with a haunting due to someone using a Ouija board or similar incorrectly?
Yes.
Okay, you go with that.
Sadly, frequently. Because Ouija boards are so popular and most people are unaware of how to use them safely, they can open doors to things. I've found teenagers are kind of prone to this. Usually it's a gaggle of girls or a co-ed group, but they'll open the door to something and it slips through. I've seen succubi come through.
For teenage girls, that seems pretty accurate.
Yeah. Oddly enough, and I've seen the pink ones that, just because it's pink and it says Barbie on it doesn't mean it's any less safe or any more safe.
Yeah. I have the glow-in-the-dark one.
Pendulums, people playing it being witches, they open a circle and they don't close it. I've had one property that became infested because there had been a circle opened out back that they had not closed. And things were coming through. And of course they did this, I believe it was on Beltane.
Oh,
there's all
lovely.
Kind of things coming through. And they liked it so much they decided they were going to stick around.
Yeah. Beltane. Beltane is the polar opposite of Samhain. So the veil is thin, and people just don't realize that when you're doing, those of us in the know, we like to do divination at that point, but some people, like you said, they just don't have a clue. Education is very lacking in a lot of things like this, but yes, absolutely. So we have said ground and shield when you get out of bed. That starts your day off pretty good.
Periodically boost it during the day as well. Take 2 seconds to stop and sniff the roses in somebody's garden on the way by.
Absolutely.
Flowers are expensive, sniffs are free.
Yeah, there we go. Absolutely. Or like you said, go outside, touch a tree, hug a tree, sit under a tree. Sitting under a tree is a good thing because you put your feet in the dirt and your back's got the tree, and it just rejuvenates your spine, that kind of thing.
I love to do a load of dishes. My hands are in water and I'm cleaning away the grime as I'm cleaning the dishes.
Right.
For me, that's very helpful because being connected to water and being a water sign, my brain tends to sort itself out.
Yep. Yeah, I'm a beach baby, so that's the one good thing about living at the beach here. When I get that, I just go. Hell, I can bury myself in the sand if I need to, or sit in the wave.
On a 10-minute drive from the ocean.
Yeah.
So fresh salt, I've got it covered.
Yep. And there's times that I think about moving someplace. We talk about like moving, and it's like I've got to be near the ocean. I don't know if I could move inland. I wouldn't mind visiting or, temporary, staying somewhere for a while. Because the mountains are wonderful too, but I have got to be by the ocean.
We had mountains about an hour away.
Ah, I would love to. I would love to. There's so many people I want to go visit.
Washington, if you want to ski, is open, 5-6 months out of the year, and it's just an hour and a half, 2 hours away.
Yeah, well, that means I've got to get a passport because I don't even have one. Anyway, back in the day when I was going back and forth to Canada because my father was Canadian, when I was going back and forth, it was, you had your driver's license. That's all you needed. And now it's not the same. All right, well, we have talked.
I know. I can remember going down across the line. You didn't even need a driver's license if you were under 16. You didn't need photo ID.
Right, right. All right, well, I've talked through our second commercial break, so I'm going to take a real quick one right here, right now. So we'll be back in just a minute, folks. Are you looking for something special? For something more than mass-produced and ineffective magical wares? Then let me tell you about Beau Magique, with their wonderfully unique magical wares carefully handcrafted in small batches. From her charged waters using artisan well water gathered under the full moon, to their authentically crafted conjure and anointing oils, powders, and more, all handcrafted by Reverend Terry Brookins, using old and new recipes and super secret sources to be able to share her own brand of magic with everyone. Visit beaumagique.com. That's BEAUXMAGIQUE.com. Visit today. This is what you've been looking for. And welcome back. See, I told you that was going to be a quick one. I was going to play another one, but I accidentally hit the eject button instead of the play button, which, I'm having one of those days. But I hope you're having fun with us tonight. And if you were unable to catch it live and you're watching it on YouTube, you've really got to catch us live and get in the chat room because we get a lot of interesting stuff there. But be sure to help us spread the word about the YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know what you like and what you don't like.
Subscribe, please.
Please subscribe.
That way it goes into your feed and all the new ones that get posted come up right away.
Absolutely. And we've got a lot more shows on this station than just me, and we'll be adding shows. There's going to be some wonderful stuff coming up. Right now, this week, I am kind of a little bit distracted, and I'm going to tell you guys why now. Because
and why
this
week early?
We're a week early because I won't be here next Saturday. I will be in Georgia at Caldera Fest, which I'm going to tout now as like basically Pagan Woodstock. 30 bands. 30 playing on stage from 10 o'clock in the morning till 10:30 at night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Vendors galore. Workshops done by the musicians. By the musicians, folks. So you're going to learn how to drum from wonderful drumming bands. I can't even think of names right now, so I'm not going to abuse anybody, but I have got so much going on, getting ready to go to that. We are going to have a ball. I will be doing some interviews and sending them in. We'll try to do some live broadcasting, and we'll get that up and going. My good friend and co-host here on PBN Radio, Raven Wings, will be helping me get some of my stuff on the air. So they'll be playing some of that stuff for next weekend, I'm sure, and out through the week because it's going to be a ball. I really hope that you check it out. I don't know if there's any tickets left. Things were going quickly. It's Cherokee Farms in Lafayette, Georgia. So all the way up by the Tennessee border, a 200-acre farm that is being turned into this festival. It's got a beach. I guess it's a little lake with a thing or a little pond, whatever. But it's going to be the most amazing thing that has ever happened for a long time with pagan music. And when I did the interview with David, this is his brainchild thing. It started off as a Memorial Day weekend thing with like 4 or 5 bands, and then it just took off like wildfire. So I hope that you'll check it out. Paganmusicfest.com, if there's any tickets left. And the camping is all included. There's going to be food on site. They have showers. But it is like camping, like you need a tent kind of thing. So um, it's going to be fun and scary for me because I have not done that kind of thing in a long time, and I'm kind of getting up there, long in the tooth, I guess they call it, right? But we're gonna have a ball.
But honey, you can do it, and I do it every year at
Yeah,
the folk festival.
I'm just looking forward to it so much. So I hope that some of you will be there with me, and if not, at least you'll be on the radio with me, and I'll be checking in frequently, and we're going to have a great time. Also coming up this week, Wednesday will be my last show for the week. Raven Wings is going to join me on Something Witchy on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, and we are going to be talking about frugal witchcraft or the frugal witch. We're going to talk about saving money and making your stuff and different tips and tricks and ways to do things that you don't have to spend a fortune on tools. A, because you are your best tool, and B, because you don't have to pay a fortune for your other tools. If you want something,
I am so there.
Yeah. If you want something and you can afford it and you want that $50 Athame, then by all means buy that $50 Athame. If you can't afford it, we are going to tell you ways to not have to buy a $50 Athame and a whole bunch of other stuff. So you're going to want to join me on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock right here on PBN Radio. And you're going to love it with me, and my special guest that night will be Miss Raven Wings. So if you don't love me, but you love her, you're going to have to come listen to. Anyway. And Lady Spice, I am so happy that you were on again tonight. I think we gave them some good information and some starting points. Is there anything that you want to cover in our last couple minutes that maybe we didn't get to?
Points. One thing to keep in mind about tonight's full moon, with it being a full moon in Sagittarius, and with all the planets that we've got in retrograde, now's a good time. If you've had your eye on a prize for a while, make a plan, make a good plan, and aim for it, because your aim will be true. So if you've got something that you've been working towards or something you really, 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 really want, now's the time to put your iron in the fire and strike.
Absolutely. Moon and Sag is a good time for that kind of thing. Absolutely. Thank you. See, you never know what you're going to get here on P3 or Something Witchy, because we just try to give you information that helps you with your life. So, for now, I am going to say goodnight, and I'm going to say, Lady Spice, thank you so much again for coming on, and Reverend Ron in the background, just hanging out, chilling, listening to us. Kick your feet up, people. Relax. It's Saturday night. Tomorrow, who knows what's going to come, but hopefully it will be good for you, because you're going to figure out what your goal is and you're going to go for it. So,
charge your crystals tonight, folks.
Yep, charge your crystals. Thank you. See, I knew I kept you around for a reason. Just kidding. We've got to keep her around, folks. She'll be back again. We'll let you know. One day next month, she'll be back again on a Saturday night show for our next show.
Also on Raven Wings show on the June 2nd, I've got some spell recipes that I'm willing to share that are edible.
Wonderful. Oh, you guys can't miss that. We'll be sure to remind you of that too. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you Wednesday. Good night.